Hello and welcome to this special one-off Let's Play on Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube. A couple of years back I did actually do a video of this, but it was on the PS2 and Xbox, so out of my curiosity I just decided to pick this up and see what's different between the two. I would also show the intro, but the problem with that is it's kind of similar really to Plus, so if you really want to know what the intro is like for that, I'll put a card up on the video so that it has some sort of navigation to when Sonic Mega Collection Plus came out and the video that I did about it, you know? One thing though that is very different compared to the two is the aesthetics. And that's mainly because of the menu designs. This one definitely has a lot more going on around it with all these animations and stuff going on. The PS2 is more of an archive side of things really. So really that's all I find different between the two, but even still, I prefer this one out of the bunch because, I don't know, it's more appealing, isn't it, with all these things going on. Now, we might as well look and see what games this one has to offer, so let's just jump into that. Alright, so, by default, when you first pick up this game, it comes with not as much compared to Sonic Mega Collection Plus, because see, the only difference with Sonic Mega Collection Plus is it did include these same games, but it also had Game Gear games added on top of that, as well as some extra Mega Drive games here and there, such as Comic Zone and The Ooze. There are additional ones that you can unlock in Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, but I'll go over those in a bit. We might as well look and see what the games are at the start. So, at the very start, you get Sonic the Hedgehog 1 to free. You also get Sonic & Knuckles, and also Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, Sonic Spinball, and finally Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That's it. But you might be asking, wait, but you've skipped over those other games known as Blue Sphere, Knuckles and Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the rest. That's because those ones are unlocked by doing certain tasks. I suppose back in the day it was known as some sort of achievement system, if you will. And I'm gonna run through like which one you have to do on each, just in order to unlock it and then actually play the full game. So, for Blue Sphere, what you need to do for this one is play Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, or in the US Sonic 3D Blast, 20 times each. That might sound a bit weird at first, because you might think, great, that means I'm going to have to beat Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and Sonic 3D 20 times. That's not the case. You can actually do this thing that makes it a hell of a lot easier to unlock them, because ever since I found that out, I've managed to unlock all of these games in like around 2 hours. And I'll show you like the method that I did later on, but I want to run through each one just in case if you're really curious of how to get these ones. So, Knuckles and Sonic 2, you need to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Sonic Spinball 20 times each on that one as well. So pretty much for most of the games, it's you play the two games 20 times each, which might sound like a lot, but again, I should go over that. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you have to play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles 20 times each. However, the thing that's different is the one down here, Flicky, which you need to unlock. You have two alternative ways to unlock this. You can either play Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for 30 times. Yes, 30, it's 10 more than the other one. But the faster way to get it is if you have a Sonic Adventure 2 Battle save on your memory card. If you do have that upon booting up Sonic Mega Collection, it will just unlock it from the very start, and fortunately I did happen to have that, so that made things a bit easier here and there instead of having to play Dr. Robotnik for the 30th time, goddamn. But the last game to unlock in this one, oh man, this one's special, is Rice Star. I don't know if it's pronounced Rista or anything, but I always say Rice Star myself, I always have. It's a Mega Drive game, it's quite rare these days on the original cartridge, so this is the better way to pick it up really. Or even picking up the PS3 collection of Sonic games known as Sonic's Ultimate Mega Drive / Genesis collection, because that completely blows this collection out of the water. I'll probably do a video about that at some point in time, but I gotta practice with that one as well. It's a bit annoying though how you have to unlock Rice Star, because you need to place Knuckles in Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Blue Sphere, and Flicky 30 times each. That's basically 120 times playing through these games. But I'm going to show you a system and that basically allows you to make this a lot easier for yourself, because we might as well look at the emulation side of things for these games. Before hopping into that though, if you press the X button, you're actually able to view the whole Genesis manual. I was going to say Mega Drive, but see, the thing is they put the Genesis manuals in this instead of the actual Mega Drive ones, maybe just because they're a lot more interesting. You see, the difference with these manuals is these are actual books on the Genesis, like this that you hold upright. Our ones, on the PAL versions, were a bit odd, considering the fact that they were really bland to look at, in my opinion. So Genesis really makes this a lot better here and there. So if you want to, like, view the whole manuals to each game, you can. And that's rather interesting if you can't really get your hands on the original Genesis version, that's for sure. But let's just boot up Sonic the Hedgehog and just see how this one performs. That's the part that I'm on about with how you bypass this whole game system thing with trying to unlock all those games. Right then, it said recording game log. It means that you don't actually have to play through these games. You can literally just boot up the game once, and then upon pressing Z, it will pop up this menu, and then you can just go back to the title screen, and then you can just go on to it again, and as long as you get past that recording game log screen, that essentially counts as a turn being taken on it. So if you do that around 20 times, you can unlock games really quick. And believe me, if you have that on, as well as like watching a video or something in the background, it really flies by and you'll be able to unlock all those games in no time at all, because I don't really want to have to play through all of these games like that or so. One thing that I do have a bit of a problem with, this isn't in terms of the Mega Collection, this is just in terms of Mega Drive games in general, is you might have heard that weird noise that the gate made. That's because for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of the games for the Mega Drive have those sort of sound issues, really, where they'll sometimes not be as close to the originals. And what I mean by that is, it's supposed to really have this kind of sound on Sonic 1. But in the GameCube version, it's different. I guess some emulation difficulties were occurring really when trying to port it, but I don't know. I've noticed that with a lot of the games here and there, and sometimes it does throw me off every now and then. But yeah, it's Sonic 1, it runs fine, so that's all good. And this is what I mean by the menu. If you go to game and title, it takes you of course back to the main title. But exit, you just go back, and then you click on the game again, and then just do that 20 times. And you should unlock some stuff, so that's cool. I would show off each game here and there, but I feel like you get the picture. You know, it's Sonic 1 to 3, Sonic and Knuckles. So I'm really only going to show off the ones that have differences here and there in terms of what Mega Collection has to offer in terms of menus and whatnot. So the next one I think we should try out is Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I was debating to do Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but I might as well do 3 and Knuckles, since it basically is referencing to the lock-on technology that the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis had. If you owned a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or Sonic the Hedgehog 3, or heck, even Sonic 1 actually, and also Sonic and Knuckles on the cartridge, it came in this, like, lock-on design, and you could put the cartridges onto that and unlock additional content. It was such a clever way to do it, because originally they were going to make Sonic and Knuckles part of Sonic 3, but there was, like, cartridge limitations in terms of size, so they had to split the games evenly. But once you combine the two, you've essentially got the full package. And if you put Sonic 2 on top of Sonic and Knuckles, that unlocked Knuckles being playable in Sonic 2. And Blue Sphere, oddly enough, I don't really want to go over the game too much because it's really kind of basic, but the idea was, if you put another game onto Sonic and Knuckles, it would come up this thing saying no way, and if you put a certain code in, you can basically play through special stages from Sonic 3 as well as Sonic and Knuckles, which is rather nifty here and there. Anyway, let's just jump straight into this one because it also has this. Press B or X on the select a save file on the data select screen. Yes, indeed. But one thing that does make it different is if I go onto this and it records it to the game log, it'll pop as something else. To save game data for this game, press the Z button. So let's save and exit the game. Yeah. So this one actually has saving into it. Compared to all the other games, they don't have saving, so unfortunately if you did die and lose all your lives, you would have to play through all of those once again. And as you can see, it does have a save file right here, and this save file was actually taken from my Sonic 3. So they've literally utilized the whole lock-on feature in this game just to work with all the other games, which I think is just, oh my god, it's damn brilliant, really. I'm not really going to play Sonic 3 though, because I mean, you get the idea, it does work. And when you want to save the game, you just go to save and exit, and it just saves it towards it, which I think is just great. And of course, lastly, I might as well just briefly show off a game that needs more recognition, Ristar. Mainly just to show that even though, yes, the Sonic games work fine, the other games that aren't really Sonic the Hedgehog do work fine as well. I'm not really going to play them for long or anything, it's just, you know, Emulation. It's great. I've heard apparently with the PS2 version there was some emulation issues with games. I never really noticed it as a kid, but that's probably just because I was a kid playing it. And, you know, at the time I didn't really care about emulation issues. I just thought it's a game and it runs and I can play it. So that's really all that matters. But this one's cool because it runs in about 50 to 60 hertz, which is great. The controls are fine, except really half the time I do find that most of these controls for the Sonic games, particularly Mega Drives, when you're playing it with the GameCube controller, it does work. It's okay if you want to use like the analog stick, but the D-pad, god damn, wow. It's tiny and things. I'm not really a big fan of the D-pad on the GameCube, so really half the time I find that the best way to play these games is on the original Genesis or Mega Drive itself. Either that or on the PS3 or Xbox 360 collections anyway. But still, Ristar, it works, so that's all nice and dandy. A thing though that is kind of a shame with these games, or at least this collection, is the fact that it lacks save states. I remember when I played the PS2 version of Sonic Mega Collection Plus, it had all these save states in there. Anytime I just wanted to pause a game, I could literally pick up from where I last was. This is something that the GameCube version doesn't have. In a way though, I will say from today's perspective, that is kind of beneficial, because it means that if you die in the game, you learn from your mistakes and you can play from the beginning and just do it right, instead of doing what I did as a kid, and every time I just did absolutely anything in the game, I would make a save state. And from there, I always thought that, oh yeah, I'm really good at the game, when really, no, I was awful at it. The fact that I just had to keep loading save states here and there. But still, you know, that's just a little opinion of mine anyway. So that's all the games, and now I reckon just for this first part, I'm going to look at the video content. Part 2 will be all of the comics and illustrations that this collection has to offer, but just in terms of Bad 1, I felt like the more interesting things to look at will be all of the movies that this one includes. So, how about we have a look at those? Including the Sonic CD intro as well as the ending movie. Compared to the two, I'm probably going to show the ending because I'm sure a lot of people have seen the intro to Sonic the Hedgehog CD, but not a lot of people have seen the ending because this even has the good ending. So how about we have a look at that? Another thing that's rather interesting is even though this game did get a release on the PSN and XBLA, I think even Steam, the lyrics for this are not present in those ones, but on the Sega CD, or known as the Sega Mega CD in the UK anyway, they are actually there. I don't know really why those lyrics are missing. I guess they just couldn't really get the rights to include those in the new version of Sonic CD. I don't know, it's kind of a shame really, because the lyrics really are great for the song if you ask me, particularly ones with Sonic Boom, as well as Tutu Sonic Warrior. Well, actually, I know it's called You Can Do Anything, because it's the Japanese and European soundtrack, but I've always called it Tutu Sonic Warrior myself. As well as, Believe in Yourself, I think it is. I forget the name of it. It's the ending theme, because the one that we're hearing right now is Sonic Boom, but just the other version to it, since the ending it does show in this is the US version, not the Japanese or European. So it's kind of a shame really that you can't actually look at the Japanese ending to this with the different music, but whatever, you can't have everything, can you? I mean, it's nice to at least look and see how the cutscenes look in really fast quality, because I remember when I played Gems Collection on the PS2, and I saw this ending, god damn it, it was so laggy and horrible. At least this one, everything is fluid here and there. It's probably though because it's running in 60 Hz as compared to 50. So maybe that's the reason, but still. And after that, we get given a Sonic Adventure 2 battle video. You might be a bit confused by that, but this is actually the video that was shown at the World Hobby Fair Games in Japan of 2002. The World Hobby Fair is basically an event that sponsors games and toys, and at the time they were showing Sonic Adventure 2. However, this one is re-edited, obviously, with English annotations added, which, damn, I always kind of get really weird feelings from these, because even though, yes, the actual footage is Japanese, when you see this, look how basic it looks from the way it's all pieced together. It almost looks like something really quickly put together in Camtasia, or even like Windows Movie Maker if you can go that far, but I don't know, because I have not used Windows Movie Maker in goddamn ages. These days I use Premiere Pro. Still. You know, I'm just gonna let this intro roll for a while and see what you think. That game was in stores for quite a while when this game came out, that's for sure. But the thing I actually find really super interesting, this is something that wasn't present actually on Sonic Mega Collection Plus, because they were replaced with Sonic Heroes cutscenes, particularly when it was in the build with the beta development and whatnot. This one also has it for Sonic Advance 2, which also was shown at the World Hobby Fair. So how about we have a look at this one? As you can see, a lot of the parts of it look really different compared to the final game. Like even in the character selection screen, the character icons and animations are completely taken from Sonic Advance. So to find that it was originally like that is just, ah man, it's just so interesting, considering the fact that Sonic Advance 2 was a big part of my childhood. Like see, these are literally taken from Sonic Advance, not Advance 2, even though the final product, they each had completely remade sprites and animation and that, you know, I suppose they had to really, otherwise they'll use too much recycled material here and there, still. The music in the background you also might not recognize. Believe it or not, the music is actually the beta version of Leaf Forest. Yeah, kind of weird really. They were going to use this in the final game, but they find, or at least they found, that it didn't really match to the tempo and speed of Sonic, so they gave it a bit more oomph. Even though it does sound kind of nice, really. I mean, if you look it up on YouTube, you can find a lot of unused music in the Sonic Advance series. But still. And this game was also released on the same day in Japan as when Mega Collection came out in Japan as well. 19th of December of 2002. Fancy that, huh? It came out a couple of days later, really, when Mega Collection came out in the US and Europe, as far as I'm aware. But even still. And the final thing to look at, I guess, is the history of Sonic the Hedgehog. However, this one, at the minute, is going to have it from Sonic 1 all the way to what we've just seen. So personally, what I'm going to do is cut ahead to the parts where it shows the games that aren't on this collection. Hell, not even on Sonic Mega Collection Plus or Gems Collection as far as I'm aware. Basically all of the different side of Sonic really, particularly in the 3D era. Because we've only seen the 2D side, haven't we? Sonic 1 on this collection also only is the Japanese and US versions, even in the PAL regions, which is why the game runs fast, but all the other games are a bit slower. So that's kind of odd, isn't it? And now let's look at the history of Sonic. And now we are here. This is the part that I wanted to show, because all the other parts were just the same old thing that we've seen before. This right here is
Sonic Jam!
Yeah, what he said. In 1997, they released Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn. This was more used as some sort of testing ground for Sonic since he was entering the 3D realms for the first time and they wanted to see what they could do before moving on to Sonic Adventure. Which is right now, actually. Wow, that was really damn well timed. I did not mean for that. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard Sonic Adventure, you know what it was. But at the time when Sonic Mega Collection came out, this is when Sonic was basically into the 3D era. Since the latest Sonic game released at that time was Sonic Adventure 2, or even Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, since it was originally on the Sega Dreamcast, but they ported it over to the GameCube, really. Since the GameCube was more of a popular system then, and also Sega moved on and started making Sonic games for Nintendo systems instead of their very own ones, like the Dreamcast and Saturn and whatnot. And now here's a big old overhaul of what the heck the games were like. You gotta remember, like, this is from 1991, right, to 2002, so we really had a lot of games going on during those years. Particularly on the Game Gear, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, just everything Sega at the time. Sega have really changed now though, that's for sure, since they don't really make systems anymore, they make games. They make good games, though. Like hell, even just as of late, they've just remastered the Shenmue games on the PS4 with 1 and 2, and oh man, those are damn good games. They hold up so well in my opinion, and everybody needs to play them. But this has nothing to do with the collection, what am I talking about? But yeah, the history of Sonic, so that was different. And I might as well end this part of this compilation right here. Part 2 will be me going through the comics, illustrations, basically all of the things that add more history to the Hedgehog, with extra art and details, and you know, just be going more into depth of that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the first part of Sonic Mega Collection, and I'll see you in part 2 when I go over more stuff. I hope it's been interesting.